let's talk about plagiarism. So I'll start off with a very interesting story. A few years back, my husband used to work for a local university a few kilometers from here. And so he was teaching MBA, and he had about 5 students in the marketing channel course. So he pretty well knew the levels of his students. So there was one student, her name is Anna. Let's call her Anna. And she was, I would describe it as out of focus. And she submitted her assignments late. And there was a lack of skill in her academic writing. You know, in this kind of course, you normally will have 50% coursework and 50% final exams. So before the submission of the very big case study, they had some kinds of assignments. And so it was probably a portion like 5% for the first assignment, another 5% for the second assignment, and a very big percentage went into that academic case study. So what was very interesting about it was that during the first 2 assignments, you could see that her writing was very basic. Secondly, the English was not really that good. And then thirdly, there was a lack of skill in the way she wrote. However, once she submitted her final case study, lo and behold, it was almost perfect in terms of grammar. The way it was written was, I would say, fantastic, was really quite good. And so my husband got suspicious because he knew this person. He knew Anna and he knew what she was capable of. So he thought that first, the writing was not consistent between the first 2 assignments compared to her last submission. Secondly, the topic was drastically changed. She was talking of another topic on the first 2 assignments, and suddenly she had another topic when she submitted. And the English was very polished. So what he did was go to the dean of business school, and it became a case. Yeah, and so the student was called to answer to the committee, and my husband left after that. When the semester ended, my husband left after that. So I actually did not really know what happened to Anna after that particular case. So this is one instance of what I would say plagiarism. Yeah. So let's find what it's like. So first, it actually involves that of you taking ideas and writing it as your own. Yeah. And secondly, no acknowledgement is done so that those who are reading your work would think that you have actually written that particular work. If you notice, I have here something here that you can just go click and then it will go to that particular website where HWU will talk and will give you a guide on plagiarism. I based this particular workshop on this guide so that I can help you with. Okay, so what is this all about? Yeah, when we do academic work, specifically now that you are undergoing your 24-hour exam, it would basically be something we would call as an academic work and academic writing. And based on that, it will always be something wherein it will be built from other sources. So you could have 5 sources, you can have 10 sources, and all that you have written would come from these particular sources. So academic work is like that. It's not something that is done in such a way that it would be your original work per se. It is based on other people's work. And this can metaphorically be seen by this slide. So I'm giving you a quote from Isaac Newton, and it says, I have seen further than the others, and it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. And that is basically what academic work is, standing upon the shoulders of other researchers. So if you look at this one, academic writing is actually, I would say, easy in that sense, as long as you avoid plagiarism by proper referencing. And if you think about referencing, of course, you know that if you want to do referencing, you can ask the library to give you or to slot you in for a webinar. Yeah. Another thing is that reproduction is also plagiarism. So I have a very good example for this one. So I'll give you a minute to read this particular text. And as you can see, the ones highlighted and underlined are actually copy of word for word of a certain sentence from another article. And this is a word for word copy or a reproduction. So what is a common mistake? We would think that it's actually okay if I just go and change one or two words in that particular sentence. So I'll give you a very good example here. If you notice, that was the example from a previous slide. If you notice, I just decided to just change problems into issues, and that is not proper academic work. We still consider it as plagiarism. So another common mistake would be that I don't have time, and this is a 24-hour exam, and I probably will not have time to really look at it, look at the references and how to reference it using the Harvard referencing style that we have in our university. What can I advise you? Well, you need to have a very good time management system when you are taking the 24-hour exam. And this one I will discuss 2 days from now on attention management. So look out for it. One other common mistake would be I made notes for my essay and I didn't remember where I found information. So, well, that is a very common mistake, I would say, and everyone does that. I do that too. But one of the ways you can do that would be proper note taking, and you can look up Cornell method to see if that can be applicable to you. Another common mistake would be I thought it was okay to use material that I had purchased online. No, it's not okay. We know that there are a lot of essay mills. We call that essay mills, wherein you pay a certain amount of money and then they will in return give you an essay. So it's not good, and it's not something that we probably may not catch you purchasing that online. But remember that as lecturers, you or me, for example, would know how your writing is like, and I would be suspicious if you turn out a very good writing when in fact in your previous writing you have done it in a different way. So there is suspicion in that part, and it would be very easy to catch. Another common mistake would be I thought that plagiarism only applied to essays. I didn't know that it also applies to oral presentations or group work. So I'll give you another example. So this is a true story. So I knew of a friend who was presenting her viva, her defense of on her master's thesis. And while she was presenting, one of her internal examiners noticed that she copied certain lines from a certain article, and the internal examiner told her about it. At the end of the viva, she did not pass. She was given a conditional pass because of that particular plagiarism issue. So sad. And but it actually had a happy ending because she was able to finish her viva after that. Yeah. So look at it that way. Presentation also can have sources of plagiarism. So I've talked to you about a lot of mistakes that you commit in terms of plagiarism, and this you can. There are more mistakes that is stated in the guide. You can look into that. I only chose the five of those that I know that you would commit in a certain academic work. So now let's go to another topic, which is good practice in order for us to avoid plagiarism. Of course, when you do quoting, you really have to put the quotation marks. So if you notice here, there is a quotation mark on both ends. That is quoting. And for example, if you look at this one, you see here there is a citing and referencing. And this citing and referencing is a kind of a workshop that you would have with the library. Yeah. And another thing is that sometimes you will have multiple referencing. So this one is also something that you can learn from the library. I'm just skipping it because citing and referencing is one of the workshops that our librarians actually do. I'm more into study skills, but then I have to go through some of this kind of stuff with you. So how do you manage plagiarism? So one of the things is that I would like to highlight it to you is that academic dishonesty is a very serious offense, something that you will have to go through in a committee and you will have to answer when you go into that particular case. Yeah. So you need to take responsibility for this. And I have a very good example of this one. It happened to me one time when I was still doing my postgraduate studies. I wrote two articles, and the first article was accepted by a journal, and I was so happy about it. And I decided to submit my second article, and I was very surprised because the editor gave me a very harsh email which said that my article was rejected because of plagiarism. And then he told me that my first paragraph was actually a copy of the first article that I wrote. You see, the two articles I submitted it in the same journal, a food service journal. But then I was thinking, how can it be? How can that be? How can it be plagiarism? It's my own work. And so the editor explained to me and said that if a work is published, although it is your own, and you wrote it again in the same words in another article, that is plagiarism, and it is called self-plagiarism. I was very, very sad about it because I thought that, you know, plagiarism is a very serious offense, and I thought that I actually knew the rules of plagiarism, but I didn't know it. If you notice what happened to me, so I wrote back to that editor. I apologized to him and said, I am really sorry, but I didn't know that if I copy my own words, it will also go into plagiarism. And so he said that he understood, and he asked me again to submit the article that he rejected as long as the first paragraph was written differently. So I submitted that article. So I was very I was very happy about it because I was able to apologize to the editor. I was also very embarrassed. That is very, very embarrassing for a researcher to be accused of plagiarism. A few days after, I had dinner with my friend. And so I told him about what happened to me. And I said, oh, I self plagiarized myself. And my friend, my husband's friend, said, oh, wow, that is very interesting. And then he told me, why then you go and sue yourself? So I said, okay, at this point in time, I was thinking, yeah, it looks like it's very funny, but the time that it happened, I was very, very sad and very frustrated about it. So I took responsibility. I was able to help myself out. Secondly, be aware of regulations. So if you notice, I want you to look into Regulation 50 or student discipline. Please read about this. And also this one, guidelines for staff and students on discipline. So these are the two things that will help you, especially when you go into your final year project or your dissertation. If you're doing 24-hour exam, it is also worth to go and read about it. Yeah. Okay. So I am done, and I wanted it to be very, very short because I know that it's pretty boring when it reaches to more than 20 minutes. So I'm just going to run through some of the slides. So I have actually talked of quoting, summarizing, paraphrasing, and citing, and you can go to these certain sites. There is here, you can click the video and also the slides. And if you have my emails, which I've been posting every day, then you can also get this particular information. Secondly, would be if you want to know more about time management. I had that particular workshop a few weeks back, but I'm going to repeat that workshop, very, very much focused on the 24-hour exam 2 days from now. So you can wait for that one. Then if you want to brush up on your academic writing, so there is one on HWU's academic writing. The other one is a LinkedIn on writing a research paper. So these are two very good informative kind of websites. Lastly, academic support. If you need my help, so I'm always around every Tuesday and Thursday. And so you just have to click that link and we can have a conversation if you need academic support. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I hope that you will attend the next session on Thursday. Bye bye and see you soon.